Hey everyone, it's Shanna with the Yoga Venture. Today I'm going to show you a few different entries into Headstand and walk you through how to do them. We will start by talking about compression, which is very important for when we do Headstand. And compression is the ability to pull your thighs in towards your chest using your deep core muscle. We will begin by sitting down on our bum and bending our legs, and then we're going to use our core muscles to pull our body towards our legs and then release. You have to activate those deep internal muscles to get that squeeze. If your hands went in between, you could pull your body and you would be squeezing your hands between your body and your thighs. As you squeeze and compress in and release, make sure that your knees are also squeezing into the midline of your body and you're not allowing them to flare open out to the sides. And we'll squeeze forward, hold it there, keep pulling forward, using your belly, and then release it out. Reach your arms out, and we'll do that same thing. We'll compress, reaching forward, body to legs, and then we'll roll down, tucking the pelvis under, rolling slowly all the way down, and lift your arms over your head. Check in on your lower back here and make sure that it's not arched. You're tucking your pelvis and your whole lower back is flat on the mat. Then you'll tuck your chin into your chest and you'll lift yourself all the way back up to sitting. Again, compress to reach forward and then roll from your tailbone down through your back. Arms go over your head. Your lower back is nice and pressed down into the mat. And then you reverse chin to chest to roll yourself up. Compress forward, tuck to roll your spine down onto the mat. Keep that lower back flat, arms overhead. Arms reach back up, chin tucks into the chest, and lift yourself back up. Compress forward, tuck the pelvis, roll down slowly through your spine. Arms lift overhead, chin tucks into chest, and you roll yourself back up. Again, compress forward, sit, and roll yourself down to the mat. Hands go up and over your head, and then reverse to come back up. This is our last roll up. Compress forward one more time and then sit back up above your hips. Walk your feet in towards your chest and then see if you can pull your knees into your chest and your feet will come off the floor. You're compressing your knees in so much that your feet lift off the floor and you hold it there and then place your feet back down. Again, come up onto your toes and see if you can pull with your belly to get your legs right in line with your chest, squeezing in. Release the feet back down. One more time, up onto the toes. Find that compression as you pull in, get those knees in towards your chest, hugging. And then feet go flat. Open up to your butterfly, soles of your feet come together, and rock side to side from one sit bone to the other, just to release out through your hips a little bit. Keep shifting, and now that we've worked on our compression in our core and finding that core stability, we are going to move onto our shoulders. So cross your legs underneath you and come onto all fours. Hands go right underneath your shoulders and your knees go right underneath your hips. And make sure you're not sagging down through your belly and releasing in your lower back, but you're pulling up through your belly button so your lower back is nice and flat. Tabletop position. We're going to talk about protraction, which is right here, pushing up through your shoulder blades, or retraction, which is allowing your chest to sink down and your shoulder blades to squeeze together. Protract, retract, sink the chest down. Protract, push up through your shoulder blades. Retract, release. Keep pushing up to a protraction and then releasing to a retraction. Keep going. As we do this and we go into our headstand, we really want to have protracted shoulders. That's going to create a nice stable base for us. And as we protract the shoulders, it's also going to help protect our head and our neck by taking a lot of the pressure off of the head, which takes the pressure off of the neck because you're holding most of your weight in your shoulders. So last time, protract, retract, protract, push it up, hold it there, keep pressing firmly, really pressing out of your mat, round your upper back, protract, push. This is what we want to do in our headstand. And then come back to your neutral position. Step your feet out and find your plank. In your plank, you want to make sure that you're tucking your tailbone under and lengthening your hip flexors on the front, so there's no creasing in the hip flexors. If you need to drop down to your knees, that's fine, as long as you maintain the same alignment through your spine. Press up through the shoulders, tuck the tailbone under, lift the belly up, and flatten out the hip flexors. Exhale, lower down chaturanga. Inhale, lift your chest up and back, upward dog. Exhale, tuck your toes, hips go high, down dog. We'll stay here for about 3 breaths, pressing our knuckles down into the mat and pushing our chest back towards our thighs, trying to lengthen through the back of the legs. Lift up to your toes, roll yourself back out to your plank, hold it there, same position. Push up through your shoulders, lift your belly button, close your ribs, lengthen the hip flexors and tuck your tailbone. Exhale, lower down chaturanga. Inhale, lift upward dog. Exhale, tuck the toes, press back to your down dog. Again, find your breath here. Take a little bit of a breather. We're going to move back into our plank one more time. Keep holding. Lift to the toes, roll through the spine, find your plank, hold it there, really working on activating your core. This is the line that we want when we are upside down. Same position with the back and the hips. Everything will be the same. Exhale, lower down chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, tuck the toes, down dog. Take those big full inhales and exhales to recover. Press firmly through your hands to allow your shoulders to open as you press your chest back towards your leg. Bend your knees and drop down onto them, then bend your elbows and place them parallel to each other on the mat. Use your elbows to push into the mat and protract your shoulders, and then retract, release. Protract, push up through your shoulders, release. Protract, press through those shoulders, retract and release. Protract, push, retract, sink. Protract, round, retract, sink it down. Protract and retract. Again, protract, retract. Protract, press, 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 retract and sink. Protract, press out of the mat to round, retract, allow your body to sink down. Protract, push it up, retract, sink it down. And then allow your hips to sit back over your heels, find your child's pose. Reach your arms out long. So as you did that protraction and retraction on your elbows, the protraction where you're really pressing your elbows down and rounding through your upper back, that's what we want in our headstand. So we're going to really use the shoulders to help support your upper body. It will hold most of the weight of your upper body. Lift your head, roll yourself up to a seated position. Grab opposite elbows, reach forward, place them down on the mat. Leave your elbows where they are, open your hands out, and interlace your fingers together so you make a little nest with your hands. Your hairline, right where your hair meets your forehead, is going to go down into that nest that you've created. And then we're going to protract the shoulders again. So push up through your shoulders and then retract. Protract. You can feel your head sort of lift up off the mat and retract, release. Protract, push, push, push through the elbows and then release it down. Just play with this idea of pushing into the elbows to help support your head and neck by taking most of the weight in your arms. So you'll just push, and then when you're ready, you can release. Watch that your elbows don't go too wide here as well. You want to keep them parallel to each other because that's where you can really support yourself better and really push out of your mat. So just watch me for a second. I'm going to demonstrate this and then I want you to do it with me. So same position, head into the nest, push with your elbows. You're going to lift your hips up and you'll come onto your toes, and then I want you to walk your toes forward until your hips match right up over your shoulders, and then walk your feet back. Now try this with me. Find that same setup, head into the nest, push with the elbows, lift the hips, walk the toes in, compress using your belly to pull your thighs in, and then walk it back out. We'll do about 5 of these, compressing to lift the hips as you walk the feet in and then walk the feet back out. Just playing with this idea of finding the proper setup where your hips come up over your shoulders. That's going to be so much easier to lift out of, and it will be the correct position for your spine to have everything supported and lifted. Now bend your knees, come back into a child's pose, sink it down. So the key points that we want to make are pressing with your elbows, stabilizing with your core to find that compression so the hips can lift up over the shoulders, and you have already that straight line from your shoulders to your hips. And then we'll just have to activate our core even more to allow the legs to come in and then up. Couple more breaths here, and then we're going to move into the actual headstand. So I'll demonstrate it first. So look up, and I'll start the same way where I sit down on the heels, you grab opposite elbows, you reach forward and place them down on the mat. Open the hands, leaving the elbows where they are, interlacing the fingers, hairline goes into your nest. Lift your hips, compress with your belly to walk your feet in. Now you're gonna have to compress even more and try to pull your right leg in tightly towards your chest and then release. Then try your left leg in. And if you feel like you can balance, you can squeeze both knees in. Really find that compression. And then from there, you'll start to lift and straighten. And we want that same alignment. So we're really working on pulling the belly in, lengthening through your hip flexors, and tucking the tailbone under to find that nice straight line. To come down, you're going to compress your knees in. Don't just bend and allow your feet to fall back behind you. You're going to compress. So starting with your hips, you're bending your hips to pull your knees into your chest, finding that tight compression. Then extend both your legs, drop your knees, and let your hips sink back. And you can come into a child's pose. All right, let's try this all together. Starting by sitting up, taking opposite elbows, reaching forward and placing them down on the mat. Hands make a nest, head goes into that nest. Lift the hips, walk the feet in. Now compress, compress. Pull your right leg in, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze through your belly. Hips stay high. Then release and try your left leg in. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. See if you can get both legs in. And then from there, lift and straighten nice and slowly. Using your core, pressing through your elbows down into the mat and trying to find that alignment through your spine. We're going to try some upside down crunches here to really work our core. You can come down whenever you're ready. But to start, you're going to crease at the hips and compress by pulling your knees into your chest. You make yourself into a tight ball. And then again, try to extend the legs back up overhead. Really activate your upper body to push down into the mat. And your core has to be super engaged. Again, crease at the hips, pull your knees into your chest, compress, compress, and then lengthen and lift it back up. We'll try 5 of these, but if you can't make it to 5, just come down whenever you're ready, the same way, compressing the knees in. If you need to come down, or if you can, lengthen the legs back up, find that straight line. There may be a little bit of wobble, that's okay, that's called stabilizing. Again, compress, pull those knees in, make yourself a tight ball, and then extend the legs long and up, trying to lengthen through the front of your hip flexors by tucking the tailbone. Here's our last compression. Pull your knees into your chest using your belly. Hold it there, then see if you can keep your left leg squeezed in and extend your right leg out. And then change sides. Squeeze the right leg in, extend the left leg out. And then extend both legs and come down to sit on your bum and find your child's pose, taking some big, deep breaths. Place your forehead down on the mat and just rock side to side, rolling it out. You can still do these headstands right and feel pressure in your head and neck because you are taking some weight there, and that's okay. So if you're new to headstand, maybe stop the video here today and don't try these other ones because your body needs some time to adjust to being upside down and taking weight. But if you feel okay, let's roll yourself back up. We'll do a little bit of our neck stretch. So tilt your head over to the right shoulder, allowing your ear to come down, and then up and over to the left, stretching it out. And then back to center. All right, I'm going to show you now a straddle press up to headstand. So again, let's have you watch this first one and then join me the second time. We start the same way. Exact same setup, taking the elbows, placing them down, opening the hands and interlacing the fingers. Same with your hairline going down into the nest. And same thing of lifting the hips and then walking your feet till your hips match over. Only difference is you're going to open your feet out to the side, and then you really have to use that belly and compression strength to lift and try to float your feet up off the mat. Once your feet can float off, work to keep lifting till they open all the way, and then they close up at the top together. And then to reverse, they'll just come back down the other way, opening out. Keep compressing as you come to the bottom, and place your feet down on the mat. And I just like to take a stretch after inhale, lift the chest, and exhale, forward fold. All right, time for you to try it with me. Start your setup the same way with your elbows, your fingers, your nest, and your head. Walking the hips up, then opening the legs out to the side. Now keep lifting your hips up over your shoulders, maybe even more than you think you need to lift those toes and find some float. And keep pulling up. Use your inner thighs, use your belly to lift the legs and close them together. Keep squeezing at the top, and then open and reverse, slowly lowering them down. Try to go about halfway, so you're right in the middle. And then use that compression to see if you can come all the way down and just tap your toes on the mat, and then lift them back up and over to squeeze your legs together overhead. Open, come down to the middle, keep reaching down, compress through your belly and your hips to tap the toes, and then try to lift and float them back up and squeeze together. Again, come down anytime that you feel like you need to come down. You don't have to hit all of these today. Open the legs, find your straddle, tap the toes, compress. And when you're ready, feet go down, lift, inhale, flat back, and exhale, forward fold. Gently shake your head, yes and no, just to release out some of the tightness in your neck there. And then heel toe your feet in towards each other and find your way to come back down onto your knees. The last entry that I'm going to show you is a pike press. This is the most difficult of all the entries we've done today because you have more weight with your legs together. So you'll have to engage your core even more to be able to do it. Again, feel free to watch this first one and then join me on the second if you'd like. Setup is exactly the same that we've done, placing the elbows down, making your nest, your head goes into your nest, and then you lift your hips and walk your feet in. When your hips go over your shoulders, you'll try to shift your weight back just a little so you can float your toes off. You have to engage that belly. And then you'll lift the legs all the way up overhead so they're straight. To come out of this, crease your hips and push your hips back behind your shoulders just slightly and really compress your belly and your thighs together so you can slowly lower down, tap your toes, then bend your knees and sit back down. All right, you want to try it with me. Take hold of the elbows, place them down, open the hands, interlace the fingers, hairline goes down, press with your shoulders, lift the hips, walk the feet to match over your shoulders. Lift the toes, press the hips back slightly so the toes have some room to float, and then slowly lift them overhead, finding that balance by engaging and using your core. We're going to try to do a couple taps down and then back up. So we pike press, send the hips back to tap the toes down, compress, and then lift, engage your center, push through your hip flexors as you come straight. Again, send the hips back as you compress your thighs in towards your belly. Tap the toes down, engage to lift the hips back up overhead. Legs will go straight. Last time, compress. As you press the hips back, your thighs will come in towards your belly. You'll tap your toes, drop down onto your knees, and again, find your child's pose. Just make yourself into a ball here. And then you can release your head, doing a small cat-cow. Inhale, lift, exhale, round. Inhale, lift, exhale, round. And roll yourself all the way back up. Let's do some stretches for our neck just to finish this out. Awesome. Whatever you got to today, that's great. Keep working because all of these can be totally possible for you. Allow your head to fall over to the right. Your ear will come towards your shoulder. You'll gently reach your right arm up and over by your ear to gently allow some weight to fall onto your head to increase your stretch a little bit. Hold it there and breathe, trying to relax. The more straight you can get the left hand out to the side, the more stretch you'll get through your neck and through your trapezius muscle that runs across the top of your shoulder. Come back to center. Head falls over to the left. Take a hold of it with the left hand. Gently, gently pull it down towards your shoulder. And then stretch the right arm out with your fingertips tented down. Hold it there. Big full breaths. Stretching and releasing the muscles in the neck that had to really stabilize and work in that headstand. Good job. Just about there. Lift your head back up. Tuck your chin into your chest. Both hands will come behind just at the base of your skull. Your elbows will wrap in and forward, and you'll gently just allow the weight of your hands to turn your chin more in towards your chest. You'll feel this maybe a lot through your upper back as well as through your neck. And those are really great places to stretch after doing headstand because they really do have to engage and do a lot of work to help hold the body up. Elbows are turned inward, parallel to each other, and you're not tugging on the neck. You're just allowing the weight of your hands to increase the stretch slightly. And release the hands. Roll yourself back up. Gently tilt the head over to the left, and then right, left, and right, left, and right. And then circle forward to the left, behind to the right. Again, circle all the way around, starting to the right and rolling it all the way around. Chin to chest, ear to shoulder, head goes back and around. And then forward to change directions, rolling it the opposite way back behind you. And then forward, head goes back and around to the shoulder, and then chin goes in towards the chest. One more circle. Roll it all the way around and back to center. Shoulders roll up and back, circling around behind you. 3, 2 more times. 4 and 5. And then change direction, circle them back and forward. 2, 3, 4 really big circles, and 5. Take a big breath in and a big breath out. That's it for today. Great job. Thanks for joining me on these tutorials about headstand, and I hope that they help you to better understand the mechanics of a headstand and how to do them safely, and to build the core strength to be able to balance in them. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you'll join me again in some of my other classes. Have a wonderful day.